I'm actually
The thing is, when I moved here to study, it became kind of boring
I
because
was
Slovenia is
first
such a small country.
grandchildren, very
When you
spoiled.
think about it and it
When we
didn't
landed in
happen to
Atlanta,
you,
that
you're
was
like,
first time.
you have to
All the
talk.
thoughts
What I
went
like
away.
in
The first time I
Azerbaijan
saw
is that you can
disappear.
always see
and
something
they don't
changing.
agree
Yeah, they
with
were
my
really,
kind
really,
of
really,
living. They
really
had
poor
problems.
before they came back to.
So because this is my life, this is not their life.
When you ask two people to tell you something interesting about them, they will tell you, I don't have anything special, I don't have anything to say, I'm not a really interesting person. We often think that only known people or celebrities have a life that is worth telling. But this is not true. We all live things. That's what I want to know. My name is Lison, I come from France, and I want to discover the stories behind people, and I'm sure you have a lot to say. Luca is a 19-year-old Slovenian who absolutely loves to travel and discover new places. We're going to talk about one of his biggest trips in the USA for 1 month and a half, and it was a special moment because he shared it with his mother. Together, they traveled by bus, slept on couchsurfing, and visited almost 23 states, really different from each other. I hope you will enjoy it, and I wish you a good listening.
So the trip of my life, like the biggest trip I did, for me it was when I went to the States. I went to 23 different states with my mother, traveling with bus, sleeping on couchsurfing. We went on the summer of 2016, I think, something like that, 2016, 2017.
Was it your first trip?
No, it was not my first trip, but it was my biggest trip and the trip I really wanted to do. When I was kid, I really wanted to go to the States, and I don't know how this American boy kind of thing. I don't know, I just like the style, American style of living. There are some bad things, of course, and there are a lot of good things as well. It's different.
And why you did this with your mother?
Because I had a friend in New York, and that was our it's what the cheapest way to come to the States was to fly to New York from Venice, and we first met with this guy in New York, and then first time we met, and this was the goal for me, and then of course going to Florida to just relax and. Yeah, we just went we didn't know what to expect.
So you didn't have any plan?
I mean, we had a plan, where we are going, but we didn't know what is going to happen there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And it's something really one of the best memories here that happened to you?
Well, I remember we came to Jacksonville, Florida, and there was through couchsurfing we met a couple. And it was really crazy because they spent in 2 days for us 300 euros.
Yeah,
just
really?
Because they were really caring and they want us to have a really good time.
Yeah.
And then I went, how do you call it? So there is Alligator Farm in Florida because there's a lot of alligators. So we were kind of ziplining through these alligators. We were above alligator. It was so interesting. And then we took a picture with turtle for $30. Can you imagine? For $30 just for a big turtle to take picture. And they all paid that. And it was crazy experience. Why? But on the other side, you are there are still nice people who really want you to have a good time.
So that was your feeling about American people? They really want to make you have a good experience?
Yeah. And I mean, there was when I was New Orleans is city for itself. It's just music all the time.
Yeah.
They speak French as well because it's French Quarter, and then I mean if somebody asks me, what is your favorite trip? I don't have it because on every trip you do something else.
Yeah.
Right. And but America was my let's say top, but it's the same. I don't know.
You did 23
23 states, yeah.
in
1 month and a
1
half.
month. Like enough.
Yeah.
It seems crazy.
Well, every second day you travel for like 300 kilometers with bus.
Yeah. And
Like
in
at
which-
least 300 kilometers.
Yeah, for sure. And in which cities?
So let's say we landed in New York, then we went to a friend in New Jersey, and then from New Jersey we went back to New York to Boston, Massachusetts, and then we went like down. There are like a lot of cities. Like I can be here for 20 minutes saying the cities. I don't know. Then like we went Philadelphia, Baltimore, Richmond, Greenville. Then we went to Atlanta and Florida, which is Miami, Orlando, and Jacksonville. Then we went to New Orleans. From New Orleans, we stopped. When we went to Chicago, we stopped in Chattanooga, which is in Tennessee, I think. Yeah. And then we went to, what is the name? Let's see. Wait. Like we went to Kentucky and Chicago, and then Missouri, because my sister was actually engaged with the American person.
Yeah.
So our goal was to come to Missouri where they are, like, and then fly back.
Yeah.
That was the trip.
And you were with your mother?
Yes, like everyone were like, "Oh, you're traveling with mother. Like it's really interesting. Like
Yeah.
you can write a book with this, like traveling with mother and son. Like and
How
then
was it? How was it?
it was crazy. It was crazy. Me and her, we can really travel together. Like I really know when it's bad for her and when she knows when it's bad for me. I mean, just the connection. If you really want to travel, like you need to find somebody who is the same crazier as you. Like.
And it was your first trip with your mother?
Then we have some other trips when we went to the Ukraine from here, and great. Traveling is just an experience. When you start it, like it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
You want to see places, you want to go travel.
Yeah. And do you have like future projects with her?
Well, now we have a project to go to the States again this year in the summer, because we have a musician here in Slovenia who is singing country music, which is really interesting, and like his goal is to go to play in the States. And now because we're that crazy and we know people, like we want to make that happen, because he was on Slovenia Got Talent, he was the second, and then why not? If he want to travel to United States to play, we will try. First time, like we don't know what to expect, what's gonna happen. But we will try our best to go. Like we have some people who are interested in.
Is it your way to travel? Like, let's do it and we will see.
Yeah, let's do it. Like what can happen,
Yeah.
Like when you land on the other continent, you know that you're far away from home and you cannot just walk home or use car. You need to fly or boat. It's still long. It's gonna take at least 8 hours to come to Europe from the States. It's all this craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your feeling like when you're traveling?
Like I feel euphoric. I feel like kind of like I'm a god, but on the good way, like not the douchebag. But I want to do as much things as possible. We are here now. We need to do it. I don't know. It's interesting.
Do you feel like different than usually?
Yeah, of course, because you're traveling, and then the addiction comes up. Yes, thank you, kind of, And then I'm really happy, and yeah.
And did you have some difficulties when you were traveling in USA?
Well, not really, because everything was on plan. Everything was on point. Maybe, like I remember, we were in North Carolina, and we just stayed 4 days there because we had such a good time. That was the only thing that we didn't go by plan. Everything else did it as we needed.
And you did some couch surfing?
Couchsurfing, yeah.
And you're still in touch with some people?
Yeah,
there?
actually there is 33 people we met on couchsurfing. And we send it to them for this event we are planning in the United States now, this summer. So yeah, it's interesting how quick you can get connections. You know, you just need to seek you need to go out of the comfort zone. That's it, you know, and then it's difficult, but when you go, like, if you would jump from the plane, like, I wouldn't do that, but, like, my, you know, adrenaline, I would go because of adrenaline. But for some people, it's scary to travel that far. You don't know what's happening. We don't know what's going to happen, but we will try our best that it's going to be good. You know, that's pretty much it by traveling.
And were you, like, kind of proud of you
of course
having done this?
Of course, like, there is not, like, probably there are some Slovenians who did that, but not a lot, you know, like, traveling with mother in 23 states, like, that's, I don't know how many people that actually did that. And I found it interesting to say to people, you know, like.
You're close to your mother?
Well, yeah, we are. I mean, we have fights and stuff, that's normal, but we're pretty close, yeah, like. She raised me, so.
Do you notice kind of differences, like, between, of course, but between Slovenia and United States?
Of course, everything is mixed. There, like, every culture is in the States, like, it's totally different thinking, mentality. American is, like, totally different than here, you know. Depends which state. Again, which state. So Florida is similar to our mentality, like, relax. Take life like easy. Like in New York, they just all run and do their own business. It's hard to talk actually. If you're in Manhattan and in the middle of the street, people just walking by, they don't stop. You know, it's a flow.
Your mother, what was she thinking of this trip?
Like, it was interesting. Before 1 year before, we went to United States as well. And she really actually hated the United States. She didn't want to go, and I always tell her why. And then I remember when we landed in Atlanta, that was first time. Like, I remember her, like, all the thoughts went away. First time I saw that, like, the thoughts about bad thoughts, they just, you know, like, disappeared. And my mother is really stubborn and stuff, but that first time I saw that, and it was great.
Did she travel with your sister?
Yeah, they went to India twice together. Yeah, they went to Budapest, like, not too far away from here, and they traveled. But we usually travel more with my mother together.
Yeah. Can I ask you, how old is your mother?
My mother is 46.
Yeah, but this is maybe, like, just, how can I say that? But for example, in France, because I came from France, my mother doesn't travel at all. Because this is not something from our generation, you know.
Of course.
Women was not really encouraged to move.
Okay.
So is it the same in Slovenia or not? Is it like your mother?
Well, I feel about traveling, my mother is really, like, special, like, because she really wants to do that. Like, depends on the mentality you have. Like, my mother, I remember, like, she hitchhiked a lot in Slovenia because that was really popular back in the days. And then she stopped, and then I grew up and we just started to travel.
But even for our generation, maybe it was not really something
it
normal,
was,
let's say.
Yeah, like, she always did that. Like, not a lot of people did that, but she did it, you know. Yeah. She was born that way, you know. Yeah. She listened, like, I don't know if that's any connections, but, like, she listened to punk music and all this energy and all this stuff came by, and traveling is now the thing. Yeah. Like, I remember one thing, like, we were on a gas station somewhere in the States, and there was, like, 3 black people, they just said, come here, and we were, like, confused, like, why? And then we went there, and they were like, is this his sister, or what? And then we just say, no, that's my mother, and we start laughing, like, you see all this experience that came, it's just from randomness, you know, 3 people watching you and thinking, what are they? And then when you say you're from Slovenia, nobody knows, of course. And then if somebody say, oh, that's Italy, okay, it's Italy, let's say, but it's not, okay. Even Italians, they still think that the Yugoslavia is existing, but it's, like, right here, you know. And they still think it's Yugoslavia. Like,
it's not. So it's good even for you to just maybe share a bit of your country.
Yeah, of course, of course. Like I feel, so when I travel, I feel like a spy, you know. So I go to another place, I live there, and then come back, and then I say to people, that's what spy did back in the days. They traveled, they listened, and they came home, and that's the interesting thing, you know, like
for sure.
how I see that. I don't know.
Thank you for listening this podcast. If you want to participate, to talk about a specific topic or something that happened to you, you can send me a private message on Center Mladi Koper Facebook page. I will be really happy to meet you. See you soon for a new story.